Hello, and welcome to the second installment of the Coweta Connections Online video series. My name is Roger Coleman. I'm your city manager here in Coweta. As you may recall, the first time we were together, we were at the water treatment plant as we traced the water that came in from the Vertigo River and traced it through our plant to your house to show what we do to make your drinking water safe and clean. Today, we're going to do the other side of the water cycle. We're going to watch water as it goes from this sink to the wastewater treatment plant that is on the Arkansas River just to the east of Highway 72 here in Coweta. Have you ever been driving down the highway and looked out the window and saw something like this outside and wondered exactly what it is and what it does? Well, today we're on Highway 51 at the Muskogee Creek Nation Indian Health Clinic, and we're going to talk about this sanitary sewer lift station, exactly what it does and why it's there. Here's a fun fact. Modern sanitary sewer systems have their roots in structures that were built in 4000 BC in the Mesopotamian Empire. This particular structure is a sanitary sewer lift station, which essentially collects wastewater from the surrounding properties, puts it in a wet well, and then pumps from that wet well into a 4-inch force main uphill to a manhole that is located on 305th East Avenue. Behind me is the wet well for this lift station. There are two submersible pumps in the wet well that are designed to work in tandem so one of them doesn't get too much load on it at any one time. Those pumps will push the water in a 4-inch force main up that hill all the way to 305th East Avenue. The crane is designed to pull those pumps out of the ground whenever they need to be serviced. This structure is a sanitary sewer manhole. You may recognize this from your neighborhood, you may even recognize it from your backyard. What a sanitary sewer manhole is designed to do is to connect two sewer mains together or to allow a sewer main to change directions. Mostly they are used as maintenance points of entry for the people that own the sanitary sewer system. There is a manhole that is on top of the hill up here by 305th East Avenue that 4-inch force main dumps into, and that is where the water from this location enters the gravity feed system of our sanitary sewer system. A couple little things about these manholes. First of all, if you have one in your backyard, don't cover it up. It needs to be free and open in case we have to get to it to do some kind of maintenance. And secondly, if you have a collar like this around it and you see a crack in it, please give us a call. We want to make sure that all the cracks are filled in so that surface water or rainwater doesn't enter the sanitary sewer system. We are at the wastewater treatment plant here in Coweta. The Arkansas River is behind us. So how the system works is by gravity feed through two 24-inch sewer lines. The water comes from town to a lift station that's behind us and goes into a wet well. It's about 15 feet deep, where there are two pumps that pull the water from that wet well and push it through a series of bar screens to the aeration basins that are behind us. So just as a reminder, if it looks like this, it can go down the toilet. If it looks like anything else, it cannot go down your toilet. It will end up in a lift station someplace, clogging up the system, or in a manhole, causing a backup. If you've got kitchen grease that you've used to cook with, go ahead and let it cool, put it into a plastic container, put a lid on it, and you can dispose of that in your regular solid waste. If it's a caustic chemical, you need to make sure that you dispose of it exactly as the manufacturer has recommended on the bottle that it came in. Once the water goes into the aeration basins, the aerators that you see above the ground here that look kind of like small fountains, their job is to disturb the water and boil it up a little bit so that any solids that came in from the lift station settled to the bottom of the aeration basins, which is about 17 feet deep. The water then sits in these aeration basins for about 30 days before it goes over to the polishing pond, where it sits for a little bit before it makes its way into the Chlorination Building. So we are inside the Chlorination Building, which is the newest part of the wastewater treatment plant. Behind me are three 330-gallon containers of liquid bleach that is used to disinfect the water that comes out of the polishing pond. It runs through a racetrack and basically a long channel, and that adds contact time for the water and the chlorine. When it gets to the end of that racetrack, we then shoot it with some sodium thiosulfate, which neutralizes any remaining chlorine that's in the water before we send it back into the Arkansas River. The wastewater treatment plant that we're at today was last rehabbed in 1994. The plant handles about 3/4 gallons of water treatment every day. We are in the design phase of a new wastewater treatment plant, which will use many of the current structures out here. That plant will have a design capacity of 1.5 million gallons per day. All of that is being done to handle the growth that is in Coweta and on its way to Coweta over the next 20 years. So here we are at the very tail end of the wastewater treatment process. The water leaves the chlorination building behind us and makes its way through a series of pipes to this outfall and then on into the Arkansas River. When it leaves our plant, it is in better condition and cleaner than it was when it entered the system through the Verdigris River at the water treatment plant. So that wraps up our visit for today. Thank you for joining us. I can't wait to do our next edition of Coweta Connections Online.